opportunity to explain to y'all why my family has a historical marker at Friona Elementary School. The historical marker is at Friona Elementary School because that was the first site that they built the first school in 1908. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Because I would have wanted it here, but you know, but that's cool. So to me, it was super cool to go through the history and learn about everything. I mean, our family kind of knew it, but it wasn't really important to me until I started doing the research. And then I just really realized like how beautiful it was. You know, I think sometimes we take things for granted, and then as we get older, those same things that we took for granted are more important to us, you know? So, I mean, when I went to school here, I mean, I knew like my parents went here and stuff like that, but I didn't appreciate it so much until I moved away. So I didn't appreciate Friona as much, and then when I came back, you know, even 30 years later, or when I came to visit or whatever, it meant so much to me, and so did Mays Day. And I was like, wow, we really took that for granted. We had amazing teachers, we had amazing friends, we had people who, if you got in some jams, you could go to almost anybody in this room and say, look, I'm in some kind of trouble, you know, and I know y'all would help me. Now there's two who wouldn't, but they're not here. Yeah, but they know who they are. But I mean, out of 70 kids, only 2 people wouldn't help me. I think I did pretty good. You know what I mean? So the reason our family has a historical marker is because our family, the Walker family, is the first black family to be integrated into white schools in 1954. And the year matters because Mansfield, Texas, and the Texas Almanac claimed that in 1956, saying they were the first. But no, Friona beat them, right? And I was so proud of that. I was like, yeah, chieftains fight for us. You know, and I was like, yeah, you go get them, Friona. Because I didn't even have to say anything. My family didn't say anything. You know what I mean? Some 8th graders, they're like, wait a minute. There is some other people who were integrated first, and they fought for our historical marker. And that's what I'm saying. This town is amazing because our family didn't fight for it. We didn't even know about it. 8th grade, you know how we gave something back? Sorry, I don't remember what it is, but every senior gives something back to high school. Well, these kids decided to do a historical marker, so they were going through all the paperwork, and they found this, and they found the discrepancy, and they fought for it. And I just thought, oh my God. I got people fighting for me, and I didn't even know. This is beautiful. I love Friona. Okay, so what else happened? Well, let me tell you. The class of 2006, Miss Patsy Allen's students wanted to give their senior gift back to the school, and Pedro Ramos gave the idea of a historical marker, so the deep research began. And this was like, guys, almost a whole year. Isn't that amazing? I don't even think we worked that hard on our it was like the last month we just threw something together. That's why I don't remember what it is. But what I love is that historical marker was built in 1908 because, the school was built in 1908. And then guess what happened? Lightning. God said no. You know what I mean? And then it got burnt to the ground. Isn't that exciting? Maybe not for the people there, but for me doing research, I was pretty stoked. You know, I was like, I'm gonna eat a Rice Krispie because I've been working hard. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, God, you're so cool because that makes this story better for me because it burned down. But then guess what? 2 years later, they built another on the exact same site. I don't know if that's a good idea, but they built it anyway, but a 2-story building. So I thought, wow, we got a whole giant building, right? We had everything. They had like 1 room, and then they had 2 stories, so they had an upper room and a lower room. That's not a lot, guys. You know, like we're overspoiled, but we don't know about it because we think, oh, we don't have this and we don't have that. But I mean, we had more than this, and God didn't burn the school down, that I know about. So what does all that have to do with me, right? Well, my 3 uncles, Uncle Robert, my Uncle Ray, my Uncle Jimmy, they were the first black students. So to me, it's crazy because it's 1 generation. It's my uncles. It's not my great uncle. It's my uncles. I know them. Isn't that crazy? To think segregation was one generation away. When I told my kids that, it sounded insane. But I'm just so proud of Friona. I always tell my kids, I love Friona. They have 0 murder rate, and they just think that's insane. They're like, there's no murder? And they have to Google it. They're like, what town has no murder? I'm like, Friona. Anytime anybody says something where I'm from, and well, where I'm at right now in Las Cruces, they'll say, what about this? I'm like, Friona. Everybody knows where I'm at. I'm like, no, Friona. They're like, what's that? I'm like, Friona. I don't want to hear about it. So they think it's insane. But I think it's very nostalgic because my grandparents came to Friona in September 1954. And then Charlie Sneed called me, and I wasn't going to come to this reunion. Then he was sneaky. He was like, you do a speech for your historical marker. What am I going to say? No, Charlie, let some other black person. There is no what am I going to say? He's singing. He's like, you didn't come to the first reunion. You didn't come to the second. So I was like, fine, Charlie, I can come. Well, I had to now. I had to get a speech. Nobody else could give it. The other 2 black people aren't part of this family. You know what I mean? I'm the only person who can give this speech, right? Try to get Brandon to do it. He won't do it. But he was the one. So I was like, okay, I guess I could come and do it. But I love that my grandparents came in 1954 September. The reunion just happened to be in September. 30 years, right? 30 years I haven't been here. But to the day, 68 years. Because I was talking to one of my aunts and she's like, we came around this time, like in the middle of September. Isn't that weird? I'm here in the middle of September. Oh my God, and maybe my grandparents are here. I hope not, because that's creepy. But what I love, the whole story that's behind everything is that my grandparents moved here in September and started working on a farm for Johnny and Elfie Hand, which they're also related to Tam Tam over here, Tam Tam Hand. And I'm so grateful for that because for some reason we loved each other from like day one. It's like you seen that little black kid and that little white kid running to each other hugging. That was us. We loved it before those kids. Get out of here. We don't know them. But it was us too. And I was just like, oh my God, I love this girl. But isn't that weird how your grandparents can do stuff and you don't know? Like I didn't know they knew the Hands. I know our family knew the Hands. I didn't know how well they knew the Hands. And I didn't know they loved the Hands. Like I love Tam Tam. And I know that was Tam Tam's family. And our family called her Effie, and her name is Elfie. But black people always change your name. So they do. They like you, your name's something else. So I was just really inspired to get all the information. It was so much information, guys. And trying to make this into like a short speech was like, ooh, a little overwhelming. And I was like, I need to eat some ice cream. And then I sat on my porch for an hour. And then I talked to the neighbor. Okay, technically I had more time, but I was just trying to get my brain working. And then I got back into the newspaper article. I went online. There was a YouTube. There was like all kinds of things on television. Oh, I called my mom. I was like, Uncle Freddie's on TV? And she said, when? And then I said, about this? And she said, oh yeah, we know. Oh, like it was nothing like it was important to me. But what I love the most is back then, this was unheard of. Black people going to school. And I said, I wish I knew this when I went to school. Maybe I would have took it better, because I didn't want to come to school. I was like, I have so much to do. I got 23 Barbies. I need to make dresses. I did not want to be at school, I had a lot of things to do. But if I would have known this, you hear about it, like black people can go to school, but I think your mind can't really think about it. Your mind can't understand it, It's kind of crazy. You're just like, that doesn't make any sense because you're in school. You're sitting here, you're looking at people. And I think when I started doing this, I just realized how grateful I am that my grandparents chose Friona, Texas, because Mom said before that they traveled and they were a lot of places. But for some reason, this is where it stuck. And I think it's the heart of the people. Like, look at this class. We love each other. Okay, y'all love me. I don't know what y'all love. And I love y'all. I don't know if y'all love each other. But to me, out of all the classes, we love each other the most. That's what I believe. Because I talk to other classes, they don't want to come to a reunion, they don't want to see those people. You know what I mean? But I feel like we want to see each other. We want to know what everybody's doing. And I feel like this is the same kind of nonsense of love and friendship that my grandparents came into. Maybe not exactly exactly the same as there was racism, but what I'm saying is people came around. People came around, you know, and they started to love up on them, and they loved people, and they helped each other. It was a small town, you know? And what I love more than anything is, according to the article, it was easy to get my uncles integrated. So my grandma and grandpa talked to Elfie, Han, and Johnny, and she said, please, I need to get my kids in school. I want them in school. They said, I think that's a great idea. You know, they need to be in school. So to me, that was already unity, because that could have been a battle, you know what I mean? But it wasn't. They immediately called the superintendent. Oh, they called the principal first, it was Dalton Caffey. Then they told him. He was like, okay with it. When I read that, I almost passed out. I was like, I need to watch an episode of 911, because it was a lot of information, you know? And I was like, so they just picked up the phone and they called somebody in 1954, and he was good with it?
And he said, yeah.
Can we just put 3 black kids in your school? Sure. You know, that's fine. But let's call the superintendent. And it didn't say, we're gonna ask him. It said, we're gonna inform him of the decision. And I love that word, because that's just saying, hey, this is what we're doing. I just want you to know, just being respectful. It wasn't like asking, like, hey, is that okay? Or like, what's the implications? Or how is it gonna work? You know, because now I think of a lot of different questions I would have in my mind. And I just feel like, wow, somebody was bold enough, first for my grandparents to trust me, to trust the hands, even tell them about it, that we got kids and we want them in school. Then for them to be united with my family and go ahead and call the school. You know, a lot of us, I think, would like to believe that we would do the right thing, right? We would say, oh my God, I would not let that go down. I would take care of that, and I would nip it in the bud. But will you? I don't think so. You're gonna be on Netflix. You're gonna be like, I'm pray for them, and I'm gonna watch Netflix, and God is gonna take care of that, because you don't want to be inconvenienced, right? You don't want to be outcast in town. Think about it. You're in a small town. That's your own family's legacy. What if they don't like black people? Now you're an outcast. You might as well be black. You know what I mean? They didn't outcast you. And I feel like that wasn't an issue for them. It's like, this is the right thing to do on both parts, my grandparents and the hands. And they took care of it, and they trusted, which to me is impossible now, to trust the leaders ahead of you. You see what I mean? Isn't that crazy? That you would trust the superintendent? That you would trust, the principal? To me, I find that unimaginable, because where I live, I don't trust people, you know what I mean? I trust y'all, but that's different to me. They're not Texans. They're not, you know what I mean? But I feel so blessed that my grandparents chose here, and that they built a family here, because without it, I wouldn't be here. Y'all wouldn't know me. I would not be a part of class of 92. I'd be living somebody else's life. Somebody else would be loving me, not these faces. And when I really thought about that, oh my God, I'm gonna cry. I said I was gonna cry. When I really thought about that, I was like, to not know each one of you and whatever part you played in my life seems terrible. I love each one of you differently, you know? Each one of you, I love you. And I think about my past, and I have no regrets for high school. You know, people can't say that. I work with people who kill themselves, who, whatever happened in high school, they were bullied or whatever nonsense. Over here, I just fought. I don't know what happened, but just beat up everybody and went about my day. But, whatever problems they have, Oh, yeah. Beat up everybody and kept it. But I don't have all those complexes in me that they have. And I think it's because of each one of you. Y'all really loved me. And I know some days I'm difficult. I don't want to be loved, you know what I mean? But in the days I do, I over love. I'm over affectionate. So whatever part you played in my life, I want to say thank you, and I'm grateful for each one of you. Each one of you. Even Greg, who never really talked. Greg. But I'm so grateful for this, and I'm so grateful for the hands. And I love that they took action, because they didn't have to. They can say, you know, helping black kids get to school is really not my problem. I have my own problems in my family. That's not my issue. And I feel like it made me reevaluate where I'm at in my life, and have I done that? Because it sneaks up on you. You're just so used to dismissing things. You're so used to not being a hero and taking action. You know, you're like, that's somebody else's problem. I got some other problems right now. I got this, I got that, I got kids, I got a wife, I got all kinds of stuff. And you just don't think about, how can I help somebody? How is that person hurting? How can I make their life better, right? We don't think about that all the time. It may be like a passing thought, like, oh, I'm gonna pray for them, I hope they're okay. But that's not exactly, we don't do anything, we don't call anybody, sometimes we don't even call the person we're thinking about, right? And it just made me think, like, I need to reevaluate my love level, you know? And I think being far away from Texas, sometimes you get jaded. You get jaded because it's not Friona. People aren't super loving like this. It might as well be New York. I mean, because of who I am, people are loving to me, but that's not normal. And they think I'm not normal, which that's been true. But, I mean, y'all know this. But you know what I'm saying? I feel like I should be grateful for every day that I'm alive. Every day. And I look at each one of you, and I don't know if this is the last time I'm gonna see you, right? I don't know that. I hope it isn't. But I don't know what's gonna happen to you from the day we leave here. So I'm grateful for each one of you. I'm grateful for Friona, Texas, for loving our family, and our family loving it back, because we could have moved. Even though people were nice or whatever, my grandparents could have made some different choices. My parents could have made different choices. They didn't have to keep me here. But if they didn't, I wouldn't, to me, be a real Texan. I wouldn't love John Deere, and I wouldn't be the person I am today, cowboys and farmers and tractors and stuff. You know what I mean? Oh my. But I wouldn't be the same person. I would be somebody totally different, you know? So for the rest of the reunion, I really want y'all to think about what kind of impact maybe y'all could make, what kind of legacy your children could make, because to you, it may just be, this is the right choice. But just like my grandparents, I went to school here, my parents went to school here, we didn't know about this, you see? But 68 years later, from one decision that they made that changed the trajectory of our life, put us in history. That's amazing, isn't it? Because we're all living our life. We don't think whatever we do matters. We have to, I don't think our children are listening, but they might be. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh my gosh, it just really helps me to think about where I'm at, where I want to be, and what's important. And friendships are important. And sometimes we forget that because we're busy. All of us, we all have things we're juggling and just trying to keep our head above water. So I want to put a plea out to any of you. I'm on Facebook, but if you ever need me, just call me. And for me, I don't care if it's 30 years. To me, it's just like I just saw you. Just like I saw Brand. I was like, why is he so tall? But I love him nonetheless, whether he's tall or little or whatever nonsense. But if you feel sad or anything, just call me. If you don't, you just want to see what I'm doing. I'm minding my own business. But you know what I mean? You're welcome to call. So guys, I'm just so grateful to Friona. I'm grateful for my grandparents. I'm grateful for the hands. I'm grateful for each one of you. And it just makes me so proud that this is our legacy. That my children know about it, my grandchildren, and legacies to come. And then I posted it, thanks to Charlie. He asked me to post it, but I posted it on my own page in case some people didn't come to the reunion. And then a lot of my cousins didn't know about it. And some of my uncles and aunts didn't know about it. And I just thought that was amazing, because even though it's important, our family doesn't really talk about it. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's kind of how we are. We just get busy with life, games, football, whatever kind of stuff. But each one of y'all are important and y'all matter to me. So that's my story, and I'm sticking